So, my movie Dungeon of Deceit, which is now live on Amuleto, has an old-time computer game in it that's also called Dungeon of Deceit. And that game is what's called a text adventure, although it does have some basic graphics. Some of you might be too young to remember that there used to be video games that had no graphics at all. The computer would just show you a bunch of text about your character's situation and what items and creatures were in your area, like, a magic lamp or a giant spider or something like that. And then you would see a prompt like this, where you could type a command, like open door or fight troll. These games kind of freaked me out when I was a kid, and they're still a little bit unsettling for me to play right now. And why is that? Well, for one thing, the text-only or mostly text medium forces me to use my imagination, where a dream could be, a dream come true with just one spark for me and you. And sometimes, in fact very often, that text would end with, "You are dead." These games did not hesitate to kill your character for making the wrong choice. So just watching that blinking cursor would be kind of anxiety-provoking by itself, because whatever I typed had the potential to end my character right then and there. I mean, just look at this description from Zork. "You are outside a large gateway, on which is inscribed, 'Abandon every hope, all ye who enter here.' The gate is open. Through it you can see a desolation, with a pile of mangled bodies in one corner. Thousands of voices, lamenting some hideous fate, can be heard." That may be somewhat cliched, but I think it's still more evocative in terms of what you can see in the theater of the mind when you read it, than a super realistic graphic of some generic portal to hell, like what you see in modern-day games where you fight like supernatural monsters. Eventually, really basic graphics started being added to text adventures, but the stick figure-like look of these graphics forced the player to engage their imagination anyway. For example, there used to be this educational series of games called Microzine in the 80s, which I suspect that almost nobody remembers. In the very first Microzine game, you're walking through a supposedly haunted house for some reason. It's not really important. Then suddenly a face appears on a black screen along with the text, "Hey, you keyboard-punching creep! Why are you wasting your time with those two turkeys? Could it be that you are afraid to face me, Nilvale, a higher intelligence?" Of course, the game was too old to have voice acting, but that's my sort of dramatic reading of the dialogue. Anyway, this graphic of Nilvale is obviously not very scary, but it's the fact that he and his dialogue just kind of appear out of nowhere, and he directly addresses the player, that caused me to freak out seeing it as a kid. In Dungeon of Deceit, my movie, I tried to achieve the same kind of effect in the video game that the main character is playing by having Zareth, the villain, ask the player, "Do you fear me?" And then when the main character types no, the screen goes black and the text "Liar" appears. I try to give the sense that Zareth is talking directly to Luke, the protagonist, and not to whatever fantasy wizard or warrior he happens to be playing. And that's what makes the experience so scary for Luke.